You ever meet a woman who just lights up the room the second she walks in? And then there are others, well, let's just say the room gets a little brighter the moment they leave. Now hey, this isn't about bitterness. This isn't even about blame. This is about something far more valuable, clarity. Because if you've been around long enough, and I know you have, you've seen this play out. Not every smile is genuine. Not every hand you hold is reaching back. Life's too short to keep giving away your energy, time, and hard-earned peace to women who leave you feeling confused, drained, or doubting yourself. Especially the ones who hide behind a well-practiced charm, stunning looks, or flawless social skills. So today, we're getting real. I'm walking you through 6 clear signs that a woman may not be good for you. This isn't about judging people, it's about wisdom. About knowing who's worthy of a seat at your table, and who's just there to take your bread. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And I'd add this, it also depends on the company you keep. Let's sharpen that clarity. Ready? Let's begin. 1. She's always the victim. Let's start with one that trips a lot of good men up. She's always the victim. Always. Doesn't matter if it's a run-in at the grocery store, a falling out with a lifelong friend, or drama with her last 3 exes, she's never the one at fault. You're sitting across from her, listening, you nod, maybe even feel protective. She paints vivid pictures about how unfair life has been, how misunderstood she is, and if you're not watching closely, you'll think, wow, maybe she just needs someone to treat her right. That's the hook. But the longer you stay, the more you notice a pattern. It's not just bad luck. It's not just trauma. It's a script. I knew a man, Tom. Solid guy. Kind heart. He met a woman like this after his divorce. At first, he thought her openness was refreshing. She told him everything, how her ex betrayed her, how her boss was threatened by her strength, how her family always took her sister's side. He respected her resilience. But then the stories never stopped. Every single relationship, every job, every friendship, same ending. Everyone else was toxic. Always. Eventually, Tom found himself in a role he never auditioned for. If he agreed with her, he was the hero. If he didn't, if he even suggested maybe she bore some responsibility, suddenly, he was the villain. That's when it gets dangerous. See, someone who constantly sees themselves as the victim never takes accountability. They rewrite the story, every time, to make themselves look innocent, and if you get too close, you'll get pulled into the story. You'll be the one who let her down. The one who never really understood her. It's a cycle, and it's exhausting. Stoic wisdom teaches us, you can't control others. You can only control yourself. Marcus Aurelius put it best, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But the woman trapped in victimhood? She refuses that power. She doesn't own her emotions, she expects you to carry them for her. And if you let her, she'll drain your energy, your patience, and eventually, your peace. So what do? You stop playing the rescuer. You don't take responsibility for wounds someone refuses to heal. You stay rooted in logic, not emotion. You can be kind, you can be compassionate, but you draw your boundaries, and if her stories never change, you step back, quietly, firmly. Because walking away from chaos? That's not cruel, that's wise. 2. She's addicted to drama. Here's one you feel in your gut before your mind catches up. She's addicted to drama. And I'm not talking about a bad day here and there. We all have those. I'm talking about someone whose life feels like a never-ending soap opera. She's the writer, the director, and the star, and the plot changes by the hour. When life gets calm, when things feel stable, that's when she starts itching. Peace is boring to her. Stillness makes her nervous. So she throws a spark into the room and watches it burn. Just to feel alive again. You'll notice it in little things at first. Maybe you didn't laugh hard enough at her story, or text back fast enough, and suddenly, you're in an argument you never saw coming. You spend hours explaining yourself, apologizing for something that didn't even make sense to you. And by the end of it, you're emotionally wiped, while she's weirdly energized. That's the catch. Drama gives her power. Chaos puts her at the center. The world spins around her feelings, and everyone else scrambles to keep up. From a Stoic lens, this makes perfect sense. Seneca once said, "An angry man opens his mouth and shuts his eyes." And that's exactly what's happening. She's not looking for truth. She's not looking for resolution. She wants the adrenaline. The spotlight, the emotional control. The real danger? You might not even notice it happening. You tell yourself you're just trying to help, that you're calming things down. But really, you're just playing your part in her script. And over time, it erodes your peace. It makes you reactive, jumpy. You start tiptoeing, wondering what'll set her off next. And when a man loses his inner stillness, he loses his greatest strength. The solution? Distance. That doesn't always mean walking out the door right away. Start with emotional space. Stop getting pulled into the waves. Let the storm crash without jumping in. Like Epictetus taught, we can't control others. We can only control how we respond. And sometimes, the wisest response? Silence, stillness, the choice to not engage. You don't have to be part of someone else's chaos. Your job is to remain grounded, clear, free. 3. She controls through guilt. Guilt is a powerful tool, and the wrong woman knows exactly how to use it. Studies show guilt triggers the same parts of the brain as physical pain. That's why it hurts. That sinking feeling in your chest, that tightness in your gut, it's real. And some women have mastered the art of using it to get what they want. Not loudly, not directly. It's more subtle than that. It might look like this. You cancel plans because of work, she goes quiet. You say you need a little time for yourself, she sighs. You get that look that says, I thought I mattered more to you. And suddenly, you're scrambling to make it right. You rearrange your schedule. You skip that workout. You stop seeing friends, all to avoid disappointing her. But here's what's really happening. Every time you cave, you give away a piece of yourself. And she learns to use guilt as currency. She won't always say it out loud, but she'll withdraw affection. She'll frown. She'll let silence linger just long enough to make you wonder if you did something wrong. Before long, you're not making decisions based on your values. You're reacting to her emotions. You're constantly explaining yourself, justifying your choices, walking on eggshells. And without even realizing it, you've become the villain in her script if you don't meet her unspoken expectations. That's control. But Stoicism gives us the antidote. Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. You want freedom? Then you've got to stop letting guilt run the show. You offer what you want to offer, not out of fear, but out of choice. And when she pulls those old strings again, you stay steady, still, unmoved. Because a man who knows his values, who lives by them, is already free. And no one, no matter how clever, can take that from you, unless you let them. 4. She lacks empathy. Now, here's a trait that usually shows itself when life hits hard. She lacks empathy. And let's be honest, life will hit hard. At some point, you'll lose someone, face a health scare, deal with failure in business or betrayal in friendship. It happens. But when it does, you learn quickly who's really in your corner. A woman who lacks empathy won't meet you there. She may go through the motions, but you'll feel it. It's not real. She's not present. Her heart isn't in it. Maybe you come home after a brutal week and say, man, I'm just worn out. She barely looks up from her phone before shifting the topic back to something trivial. What her coworker said or how annoyed she is with traffic. Or maybe you finally open up about something deeply personal. Something that took courage to admit. And she just brushes past it, like it didn't even land. There's no pause, no presence, no real care. There's a distance, and you feel it. One man I know, someone I truly respect, told me about a woman he dated not long after his wife passed away. In the beginning, she seemed supportive, said the right things, played the role. But when the real weight of grief set in, when all he needed was someone to be there, to just sit with him, hold space, she grew uncomfortable, restless, dismissive. She didn't know how to show up for pain she couldn't fix. She changed the subject, gave shallow reassurances, and shifted focus back to her plans, her needs, her frustrations. Eventually, he realized something painful but true. He felt lonelier with her than he did alone. That's when Stoic wisdom comes in. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And I'd add, waste no more time hoping someone will become what they're not. Empathy isn't a trick you can teach. It's either there or it isn't. An empathetic woman doesn't need to fix you, doesn't need to say much. Her calm, steady presence is enough to remind you, you're not alone. But a woman who lacks empathy, she could be sitting inches away, and you'll feel 1,000 miles apart. So here's the test. If you find yourself constantly explaining why your feelings matter, if you're justifying pain, asking for patience, begging for basic understanding, pause. Check in with yourself. Because Stoicism teaches us not to chase illusions. It teaches us to see what is. And what is here is simple. If she can't meet you with compassion during your hardest hours, she will not have the strength to walk through life's storms with you. The solution? You don't plead. You don't demand. You don't beg her to change. You choose differently. You walk away, not with anger, but with clarity. Because life is far too short to be with someone who listens with their ears, but never with their heart. 5. She's obsessed with superficial things. This next one? Easy to overlook at first, but over time, it will wear you down. She's obsessed with superficial things. And I'm not talking about liking nice clothes or wanting to decorate the house well. This runs deeper. This is about a worldview, a belief system. This is a woman who sees her worth in what she has, not who she is. It's about the house, the shoes, the car, the likes, the attention, the applause. She treats these things like they're the measure of a successful life. And you might think, what's the harm in wanting the good life? Here's the harm. To her, status equals value, approval equals love, image equals self-worth. And when that's how she sees herself, guess what? That's how she'll measure you too. It becomes a quiet competition. You're constantly being compared to other men, other couples, other lifestyles. Whether you make 6 figures or 7, whether you drive a Toyota or a Tesla, it'll never be enough. Because someone always has more. She's not looking at who you are. She's measuring what you can give on the outside. And the bar keeps moving. The Stoics saw this coming over 2,000 years ago. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." But a woman obsessed with image? She's never satisfied. No matter what you provide. It's just a temporary high. It's not fulfillment, it's a craving. And cravings don't stop. Trying to fill that need is like pouring water into a cracked jar. It leaks out just as fast as it goes in. And here's the truth. If you tie your life to hers, you'll get dragged along for that exhausting ride. Marcus Aurelius called things like wealth, fame, and possessions indifference. They're neither good nor bad. They don't define you. What matters? Character, virtue, what you stand for. But a woman caught in superficiality won't see that. She won't recognize depth, only shine. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." And by that measure, a woman obsessed with status is spiritually bankrupt. Because no matter what she gains, she can't offer peace. And peace, my friend, is what a Stoic man guards above all else. If you stay with her, you'll eventually feel hollow, drained from chasing things that don't matter. And the solution? Walk away. Not in resentment, but with wisdom. Because a man who values peace knows when to leave the shallowness behind, and step into a life of substance. 6. She can't admit she's wrong. Now here's one that sneaks up on you. She can't admit when she's wrong. Ever. You can lay out every detail. Explain your side calmly. Show her proof so clear a child could understand it. And still, she finds a way to twist it. If she can't win on facts, she'll shift the argument to feelings. Now, it's not about the issue, it's about you making her feel bad. Or you always being critical. Or you being the problem. The original disagreement disappears under a tidal wave of emotional deflection. At first, you'll write it off as pride. Maybe she's having a bad day. But give it time, you'll see the pattern. She can't own her mistakes, even small ones. She will defend bad choices, justify hurtful words, and refuse to back down. Why? Because being wrong equals being weak. And weakness, to her, is unacceptable. Psychologists will tell you, this kind of person has a fragile ego. Their entire identity is built around being right. So admitting fault? It threatens their self-image. And they'll protect it at all costs. But here's the cost to you. Trust, growth, and connection. You can't build a partnership with someone who won't grow. Marcus Aurelius said, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change." It's the truth I'm after. That's what real wisdom looks like. Being willing to be wrong, to grow, to evolve. But when you're with someone who won't do that, you end up carrying the full weight of reason. Every argument turns into emotional warfare. You're walking a tightrope, and eventually, You stop speaking your truth. You give in just to keep the peace. But here's the irony. By always needing to be right, she loses the one thing that makes love real: honesty. So what's the answer for you? Clarity. You choose humility in yourself. And you choose a partner who values truth over pride. Not because she's perfect, but because she's willing to admit she's not. Without that, there's no relationship, only competition. And life is too short to keep score with someone who sees everything as a win or lose game. Seneca once said, "Only time can heal what reason cannot." But in a relationship where reason isn't allowed a seat at the table, time just makes things worse. So find someone who can say, "I was wrong." It's not a weakness, it's strength. And if she can't do that, walk away, not out of spite, but out of deep, unshakable respect for your own growth. 7. She disrespects your time. If there's one thing life teaches us the older we get, it's this: time is sacred. You can earn back money. You can rebuild your health. But time? Once it's gone, it's gone. And that's why when a woman consistently disrespects your time, it's not just inconsiderate, it's a red flag. Because time isn't just about schedules or showing up. It's about respect. Let me tell you about a man I knew, Richard. Contractor out of Houston. Solid guy. Mid-50s. Built everything he had from scratch. Respected in business. Sharp. Disciplined. But in his personal life? Different story. He'd started dating a woman named Elise. At first glance, she was everything you'd expect: warm, affectionate, charismatic. She made him feel seen, desired. But then the pattern started. Late to dinner, 10 minutes, then 20, then 40. Plans canceled last minute. Something came up. Sometimes, she just didn't show. No call, no explanation. Richard let it slide at first. Told himself, "Hey, life gets busy. We all have things going on." But weeks turned into months. He started rearranging his life around hers. Canceling work meetings, pushing back fishing trips with old friends. All because she said she wanted to see him, only for her to ghost him again. One afternoon, I watched him sitting alone at a restaurant. Table for two, candle flickering, phone in his hand. She didn't show. He just stared at the screen and muttered, "Man, I feel like I'm always waiting." That hit me. Because that's exactly what happens when someone disrespects your time. They keep you waiting. Not just at tables or on sidewalks, but mentally, emotionally. You start living on pause. And here's the trick. They'll make it seem like you're the one being unreasonable. Why are you so sensitive? It's not a big deal. Relax. You're making this into something it's not. Suddenly, you're questioning your standards. But a Stoic man knows better. Seneca nailed it when he said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Time isn't the enemy. Wasting it is. And Richard? He came to see that. Elise wasn't forgetful. She wasn't overwhelmed. She simply didn't value his time, because deep down, she didn't value him. And the harder truth? He had allowed it. Because when you don't respect your own time, no one else will either. So what's the solution? Clarity. Resolve. Boundaries. You don't need to scream. You don't need to punish. You just stop handing your minutes over to someone who tosses them away. Because time spent chasing someone who won't show up is time you'll never get back. Epictetus asked, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" If you're sitting there, always waiting, maybe it's time to stop. Not because you're angry, but because you're done. Done letting someone else treat your life like it's disposable. And here's the truth. A woman who respects you will respect your time. She'll show up. She'll communicate. She'll care. And if she doesn't, then you walk. Not to prove a point. To protect your peace. Closing message. If you've made it this far, let me say this. You are not alone. Maybe you've met one of these women. Maybe you've dated one. Maybe you've stayed longer than you should have. And if so, hey, no judgment. We've all been there. Learning to see clearly takes time, wisdom, scars. But that's the point of this video. To help you spot the signs sooner. To help you keep your peace longer. To help you protect the man you've worked hard to become. Because you deserve a woman who adds to your life, not subtracts from it. A woman who brings clarity, not confusion. Peace, not pressure. Support, not sabotage. A Stoic man doesn't chase drama. He doesn't beg for empathy. He stands still. He thinks clearly. He chooses wisely. And most importantly, he values his time. So here's what I want you to do. If this video spoke to you, drop a comment below. Tell me your story. What hit home? What resonated? And if you're not sure what to say, just comment. I love this. It lets me know you made it through. That you're part of this growing community of men committed to clarity, growth, and stoic strength. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Because we've got more real talk coming your way. More lessons, more insight, more wisdom that helps you build not just a better relationship, but a better life. I'll leave 2 more videos right here on the screen, so you can keep learning, keep growing, keep becoming the man you were always meant to be. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.